Hello and welcome. Let's take a look at the top story. Are African countries becoming Europe's hubs to return migrants? A controversial plan by the United Kingdom to deport migrants to Rwanda met an ill fate. It was described as inhumane, shocking and unlawful by human rights observers. It was also criticized by European Union leaders, many of whom questioned the morality of such a plan. But that didn't stop other European nations from copying the strategy. In the latest, the Netherlands is considering deporting migrants to Uganda. It is looking at the possibility to deport the migrants if their request for asylum was rejected and then send them to the East African country. Dutch Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation Minister visited Uganda this week. She talked to Ugandan ministers about the plan and has reportedly hinted that the African nation is willing to cooperate. However, it is still in the early stages. But this proposal by the Netherlands comes as EU leaders are gathering in Brussels for a summit. Immigration is set to be a top agenda. After right-wing parties gained ground in EU Parliament elections this year, migration has taken a centre stage in the discussions. Ahead of today's Leaders' Summit, EU's Home Affairs ministers met in Luxembourg last week. Now, they talked about some innovative ways to increase deportations of irregular migrants and rejected asylum seekers. These include controversial plans to set up dedicated return centres outside the bloc. The talks come only a few months after the European Union adopted a sweeping reform of its asylum policies. These reforms will be enforced in June of 2026 and will harden border procedures and requires countries to take in asylum seekers from frontline states or to provide money and resources. But many EU nations think these reforms are not enough. They want the bloc to think outside the box, or rather, outside the border. Many EU nations have demanded the creation of centres outside the EU where rejected asylum seekers could be sent. There are no detailed plans of how return hubs could work in practice, but some countries have already begun doing it. Italy has become the first European nation to have deported migrants outside its borders. It has gone ahead with its plan to deport rejected migrants to Albania. So EU nations are carrying on with their plans to send migrants to third nations. Netherlands is now considering to send asylum seekers to Uganda. The UK was earlier planning to send migrants to Rwanda. However, sending migrants to third countries has faced ethical and legal questions. Now, the UK's Rwanda plan went through a tumultuous journey before it was finally passed in April of this year, during the tenure of Conservative government led by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. But after the change of government in July, the new Labour government, headed by Prime Minister Keir Starmer, scrapped the law due to concerns. But UK Rwanda's plan has been studied by others. The latest country to work towards a migrant deportation policy is the Netherlands. But why would countries like Albania and Uganda accept migrants? The answer is money. The UK had promised to pay $272 million to Rwanda to relocate refugees. Uganda and Albania seem to be eyeing similar cash prizes. It's not just individual countries, but the European Commission has also signed agreements with North African nations like Egypt, Tunisia and Libya that provide them hefty funds to prevent migrant departures. But critics say that throwing money at African regimes should not be the EU's go-to migrant policy. Many have also raised concerns about the safety of the host countries, labeling them unsafe for the deported migrants who are looking for a better life. But will more European countries look to deport migrants to Africa? And what impact would it have on the continent? Now, for more on this, we have with us Dr. John Sunday Ojo. He is a research fellow at NATO Veteran Initiative. He is joining us live from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What are the legal and ethical implications of transferring asylum seekers who have exhausted legal options from the Netherlands to Uganda?
Thank you. The step taken by the Netherlands government to transfer asylum seekers who are unsuccessful in their application might fall within the broader legal framework of the EU migration policy that states asylum seekers who do not require protection must return to their country of origin or a safe third country. First, I think we need to look at the repatriation of failed applicants, which can solely depend on the agreement with the countries of origin, which are often non-EU countries. And this policy does not really deal with migration in a generic sense, but I think the policy is subjected to the court approval.
And what potential challenges or risks could arise from implementing such agreements, both for the asylum seekers and for diplomatic relations between the Netherlands, Uganda, and the European Union?
Yeah, I think the matter needs to be determined by the European court, because we have seen similar case in the UK, where the government proposed a policy to transfer asylum seekers who are not successful in their applications to Rwanda. So it's subjected. It will still subjected to the court's approval, as I said earlier, and considering the diplomatic relations between the two countries, I think this policy can also strengthen the diplomatic relations between Netherlands and Uganda.
And how does Uganda's infrastructure and legal framework support the integration and the humane treatment of asylum seekers, given its current refugee policies?
A country like Uganda, with a poor human rights record, cannot be considered a safe return hub for unsuccessful asylum seekers. Looking at the recent acts put forward by the Uganda government, including anti-lesbian, gay, anti-transgender, and anti-bisexual policy, which become law. So I think based on the country's record, the policy may further endanger asylum seekers' fundamental human rights. Those that fall within these categories, I think it will further jeopardize their human rights condition.
Doctor, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your valued insights on this latest story.
Thank you.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election, explains how America chooses its president, your primer on the race to the White House, everything you need to know about how America votes, and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained, every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.